Hello! For the June garden tour, I wanted to start you off here on our deck. This is a lovely herb tower that I've been planting up for years. It used to be green. I've spray painted it black, and I just love the way that it works now with all the other pieces in the garden. We this year planted nasturtium, and nasturtium is a flower that you can eat as well as the leaves. It's a little peppery, and it is a lovely little trailing plant that really, I think, fills in this space nicely. We purchased these chairs from Home Depot. They are recycled plastic, heavy duty. My husband got tired of painting the wooden Adirondacks, so we upgraded a couple of years ago and been very, very happy with our choice. Here's an update on the Eau du Killarney. It's filling in really nicely, this little succulent garden, and we're really quite happy with how it's coming together. I just fertilized all of the pots. I let them grow a little bit from the natural fertilizers that were there, and now they're really starting to fill in with blooms and looking quite lovely. This table here used to be green. I spray painted it cream. It's taken me lots and lots of bottles of spray paint, and every year I do need to come and fix it up because it gets a little bit of rust, and that's okay. I just take it out and I spray paint it, clean it up. I'll take you on I'll do a separate video to show you how I do that. We built this little shelf, covers our vent into our stove, keeps birds out as well, but really it just makes it look a little nicer like that. And you can see that there's still room for the vent to open up, but it just looks a little more attractive. I'm really happy with the way the micro basil and the big basil is coming together. And you can see this hens and chicks tower, how it is filling in nicely. That piece there that the pots sit on, I pulled that out of the garbage. As well as these pots right there. They're plastic, but I think that they look particularly well with the rest of the clay pots. It's just giving you another view how the deck kind of works together. And this piece here, it used to be green, and I spray painted it the same color as the table. And again, that's also a garbage find. Don't be afraid to find relics that you can use in other places. This fountain here is one from Canadian Tire that we bought ages ago, and it really gives some nice sound, as you can have just heard. We do have some planes that go overhead, and we live close to a major highway, so this just breaks down a little bit of the sound and gives us some nice changes to the way that the sounds make your yard. This is the little pink set that we painted pink, and it's come in very, very handy. It's such a pretty little piece. I just did a video that I will post separately on replenishing these pots here, the nice urns, and I took out the existing planting. I trimmed up the tulips and put in these ferns, so little tips there. I have no idea why this part of my garden won't grow anything. If anyone has any ideas, I'd sure love to hear why. But you can see everything around it is very lush, very vibrant. We have a ton of hostas. I apologize, I don't know the names. This little guy here I picked up at HomeSense years ago. He's faded a fair bit, but I still like his contrast against all of that foliage. You can see here, it's a big, huge hosta that actually likes the sun. It's prolific because of the sun, and there's tons of different hostas in the whole garden. As you go through here, some bachelor buttons, euphorbia, sweet woodruff, different types of hostas, some boxwoods, my rhubarb, Yes, last time in the video I called that asparagus. It is rhubarb. I did know that. It just, I don't know, sometimes the wrong words pop in your head. And this is my feature pot. It's really filling in quite lovely, especially now that I've given it some fertilization. I mean, just look at that fuchsia. Isn't that lovely? The two-tone colors of it. This is an angel wing begonia. It's going to get a little bit taller. It's going to fill in quite nicely. And these are tuberous begonias. That is a pine, it's a sweet potato vine. And this is creeping jenny. We really like the creeping jenny. It really sort of hangs down and makes a beautiful look to all the arrangements. Sadly, if I had come out last week to show you the garden, these irises would have been blooming. I know it's a very, very narrow leaf on these irises, but they're quite lovely. Also, it's peony season. This year has been one of the saddest shows for the peonies. Those that came out really slowly, and then boom, we got a heat wave and they came out and they died very quickly. So this particular batch, unfortunately, the tree overhead has grown really thick and they're not getting enough sun. So I'm going to have to move these babies, give them a new home. This is Phlox. It'll come in after the peonies. The lamb's ears have been really growing nicely. These pots have filled in quite well. Look at that lamb's ears. It's going to get little purple flowers and it's going to fill in. Just to give you another vista of how the yard looks. It's a nice little vista. There's the deck and the patio, more wheelbarrows. It's a working garden, so there's always going to be stuff to do and always going to be things that need to be updated. Like the last video, I showed you we were planting some impatiens. They have filled in quite nicely. I also added this variegated centerpiece, and I really like the way that it pops. Really delighted to see that I have some rhododendrons blooming this year. I thought I had actually lost all of them, so to get 4 of them is quite a treat. I also wanted to show you this. So these are hollyberries. This plant I've had for years, and it bloomed quite prolifically this year. But if you don't have a male close by, you will never get the berries. So I don't know if a male came to life through somehow in my garden, but this is the first year I've ever seen berries on that holly plant. So that's pretty cool. We have the columbines. They're just about all done. You can leave your columbines out. They're going to get these pretty little seed pods right here. And you're going to want to let all of that just happen, because what happens is you get all sorts of columbines in your garden. You never know what color they're going to end up being. These ones have all been blue, but I do have white ones and I have pale purple ones. So I just let them go and see what happens. These are also some wild violets that come in the garden. You can see there's always more weeding to do, and we use some clever things like roots that have come out from old trees or things like driftwood. We also have some really interesting structure in our trees, so it just creates another element. And also last year I spray painted. I went crazy with the spray paint. Did a ton of updates on all our pieces. Look at how nicely this is filling out. I thought these were going to be dead for sure, and they have all come in nicely. And this baby over here is a really tall plant. And what it's done is it's created all sorts of babies. I'm going to have to replant all of those babies so that we can have some more things to grow. This one here has filled in very, very well. Us have the hostas. Look at that nice big one back there. That's the same one that was over by my deck. We went in and did a little dividing of some of the hostas at my mother-in-law's, and we were able to share them amongst all the brothers and sisters. So it's really nice to be able to see family members that are no longer with us in your garden. This iris is also from my mother-in-law. I don't know if you can see it, but look at the colors on that. It's sort of hiding in this tree, and it's kind of unfortunate. I didn't know what color it was when I planted it, and it works well with the tree, but also doesn't have enough contrast, so I may move it. Now, the other interesting thing is the sun has just decided to come out. That's not the interesting thing, but these are Rosa Rugosa, I believe. These are roses that were in my garden, just sort of wild, when I bought the place 20 years ago. I traditionally trim them back and get a couple of flowers. This year, didn't even get around to trimming them, and look at the show that they're giving us. Isn't that amazing? So sometimes you think that trimming the roses is what they need. I also have one in my front yard that does the same thing. You can trim them to give them a little bit more structure, but sometimes the rose knows what it wants to do more than you know what it needs to do. Oh, I had just placed this arch that my sister gave me so that you could see how it was going to sit, and clearly the wind had other ideas. Anyways, it's going to sort of sit right like that, and it's going to be a nice entrance into the pit. I haven't placed it in the ground firmly yet because I'm going to need to come in and really take a hedge trimmer to all of these so that the space going in is much, much bigger. This has become very weedy through here. My mother-in-law's peonies were back there. We got one bloom on them. I don't think they're getting enough sun, so again, I'll have to change them. I wish I knew what this plant was called to share it with you, because it is the smell of sweet vanilla. It is just an amazing, beautiful plant. Look at the foliage down there. It's really lovely. You walk into the space and you're just, you know, absolutely delighted with all the different smells. This is a weed. See how big my weeds get? That's like about 4 feet tall. Take you over here. So still have a lot of trimming to do on the trees. It's been a lot of work, the yard. This baby here, when I showed it to you before, it had really big leaves on it, and then we had some significant dryback. I don't know whether it was too cold for it, but it didn't do well. I've just refertilized it, and suddenly it's got some more vibrancy. Sometimes plants need fertilizer because they've been heavily fertilized at the nursery. And they're used to that environment, and the shock can do some damage to them. So over here you can see that the hydrangea that the random lady on my friend's street gave me, it's coming back, yahoo! So we'll have to figure out where we're going to plant that. This is a butterfly bush. It's the first time it's bloomed, I think, since I've owned it. It was just so many blooms across it. I wish I'd come a week earlier to show you all of these things. These are going to be some nice tiger lilies or day lilies. This is wild phlox. It comes in from the field next door. I don't have to do anything to make it happen, except for to make sure I don't weed it. And it is very, very florific as well. This was a Korean lilac. It's finished now, and it had a light purple flower and was very, very florific as well. These were the most stunning irises. You can see that my pots are actually filling in, which is really nice. Let's take you over here. I'd picked a day that was full of clouds, and the minute I came out, now the sun's out. Anyways, pots are all filling in nicely. I'll just take you around to the nursery, which is where I have all my baby succulents, and you'll be able to see how they're doing. Some more pots. Actually, I had to take part of this guy's plant out down there. He wasn't doing that well. I think he needs more sun. And if anyone has creative solutions on how to manage your hose, please leave me a text or a message below here. Look how well the vegetables are doing over here. Look at my kale. It's really, really full. Tomatoes are growing nice and tall. And my lettuces are all ready to be harvested. So it looks like we're going to be doing some really nice salads. Okay, so here is an update on the nursery. The plants are all filling in quite nicely. I've already been able to use some of the flowers or the succulents in other arrangements. And here's all the other arrangements. The reason they're not on the top is that they have been inside these succulents. They're true succulents, not hens and chicks. And so as a result, they weren't used to full sun. They were getting far too leggy, which is why I had to bring them outside. And if I let them out in the full sun, they'd have burnt. But you can see already there is a lot of new growth on them. So just keep in mind when you move things from indoors to outdoors, you've got to always manage the expectations of how all the different plants are going to survive in their new environment. This is an old, sorry, I'm just trying to get the gate. This is an old fountain that I own, and I'm going to spray paint it copper. I think it'll look really nice, and I'm also thinking that over the garden bench I may put a window and fill in these little baskets with flowers underneath. I have a whole garage full of old windows from when my parents replaced theirs on their 1920 house. Again, this one's doing really nicely. See, here's the other columbines. Again, I did not put these seeds in. They have just come up by themselves, as have all of the white bleeding hearts. Look at them right next door to it are the dark purple ones. Here's an update on this piece. The black-eyed Susan vine is starting to climb up, so that's going to look really lovely as it all fills in. And I just had to show you this hydrangea. Look at the number of flowers that are going to be on it. I just can't wait to see what's going to happen there. And look at the black, the cut-leaf black elderberry. I had no idea that it had these beautiful blooms on it. So it's really quite a delight to see them growing and giving us this beautiful display. I can see I've got some dye back here, which means something's not going well here. Oh, I see what's happened. It's just, there you go. It has actually fallen back on itself. So that's a little disappointing. I'll have to figure out why that happened, if I should have been trimming it. Just to give you an update, what the side looks like. Then I'll just take you around so you can see what that front piece looks like. There's two more hydrangeas in there. I haven't seen any of the flowers coming up on them yet. I wanted to capture today what this big batch of peonies looks like. They are going to likely be done in the next 48 hours, so I'm going to cut some in and do a bunch of arrangements with them. It's always a thing with peonies. You're always trying to decide whether you take them off and enjoy them or whether you leave them in position. I had a ton more peonies over here, and these are the ones that came up very quickly, and they were done very, very quick. Right below them, Shasta daisies. I also have, these are spirea, so they also get flowers. And you can see there was a lot more peonies along here too, so I'll be able to cut those. This is a pile of rocks that my sister gave me, and I have to still figure out where I'm going to use them all, but they're all quite lovely. Again, another peony. These are different pieces of driftwood. Just to give you an update, one day what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some dirt in this piece, and I am going to put some succulents, and I'm revitalizing another garden where I have all sorts of beautiful succulents in it, and hens and chicks, so you'll be seeing that in a future project. Can I just celebrate with you the beauty of this clematis? Look at that. It's one that you cut back every year to get this type of bloom, which is good because it gets pretty messy when it's done, but what a lovely piece. Just to show you the front, everything's coming in quite nicely. And one last part to show you, I'll just take you around the side right now, and I'll just give you a quick update on how all the other little succulent gardens are doing. As we come around the corner, there's my little gnome. Hello, gnome. They are. See, this is a true succulent. It's not hens and chicks. It had a little bit of burn back when I put it outside here, but now it has revitalized. It's doing really, really well. Look at this one. I mean, that one is huge. I have big hands, so it's very big. Hydrangea. Look at this. Isn't it great? Now, I don't know why this is suddenly not doing good. I'll have to research that as well. In this bag here is a garden that I am revitalizing, and I have taken out all of the hens and chicks, separated them by color, and they're going to be going into another thing, another arrangement. Don't worry about the fact that they're not in soil right now. They kind of like drying out for a day or two. And hello, these guys are the bane of my existence all over this yard. So we're almost done with the tour. I hope you've been enjoying it. I love being able to share the updates on what's going on here in the yard. So just taking you back here to one final look of the deck, so you can get the full glory of all the different pieces. Thanks so much for joining us for the tour this week. Hope that you can subscribe to this channel, and I will be giving you more and more updates as the garden evolves. Let me know as well if there's something that you want me to cover off specifically, if there's something that you've seen in the garden that you'd like a more detailed explanation on. Let me know and I'll do a separate video. Until we meet again, have a beautiful day in the garden and a beautiful day sharing your joy of whatever makes you happy with others.